Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Jake Williams Show right here on loudandopinionated.com and wherever you get your podcasts, any service you choose. Thank you so much for listening. Also, do me a favor after you're done listening to this episode or while you're listening to this episode, I don't care, go and subscribe to us on whatever podcast platform you use. And by us, I don't just mean the Jake Williams Show. I'm talking about Loud Sports, which originally was a Loud Opinionated Football podcast, but we know that the well will be drying up soon on football talk. So Loud Sports, and you can go check out the Underachievers. That's our gaming podcast. It's not just me talking. I know you love the Jake Williams Show and you love hearing me ramble, but I'm not the only one there. Paul Rubidoux and Brandon Plecker join me on Loud Sports. I actually joke because it's Paul's show. I'm just hosting in it. That's all it is. And the Underachievers, which is myself, Chance Oliver, and we just call him Sparks. We talk about video game news. And stay tuned because we're going to be putting stuff on Underachievers Games YouTube channel there. And there's a lot of fun stuff happening in the world of Loud Opinionated. I told you in 2019 it was all about hashtag expand the brand, and we're doing it. And keep an eye out because February is coming sooner than you think, and we're going to be doing Jake's, and by we, I mean me, Jake's Rad Movie Show is going to be coming exclusively to Loud and Opinionated's YouTube. It's not a podcast. It's going to just be something that we do on YouTube. So without further ado, let's talk about today's topics of the show. The first thing that I really want to talk about is, it's funny because I say I don't care about it, but I do care about it, and that's kind of the paradox of this whole scenario. I want to talk about the Oscars, the 2019 Oscars. All the nominations were announced this past week, and I have some interesting thoughts about it. First and foremost, I want to say I, for a long time, have thought the Oscars are a silly institution. The Academy Awards, I think, Oscars, I think it's all silly. Because to me, and, some people might think I'm crazy. Maybe they know in my past and I'm just bitter because I'm not a filmmaker. And that was what my first career choice, that's what I wanted to be, was a director and a filmmaker. And it's not that at all, but I look at it this way. To me, movies are subjective. Art is subjective. So, like all art, that is going to have people having different reactions to what they're seeing. Some people will like a certain movie, and some people will hate it. That's just the thing that we all agree on when we see art. When we perceive art, we all understand that it is what's in the eye of the beholder. Who's engaging in that art, they have to decide what emotions they feel from it. And I get liking a movie that's bad. I loved Venom. And a lot of people hated that movie. I accepted that movie wasn't great to a lot of people, but I enjoyed it myself. My whole point of this is, it is hard for me to accept that the Academy Awards, the Oscars, well, even all of award season, even the Golden Globes, what have you, it's hard for me to accept that those are a fair governing body over what makes a movie good, what makes a movie the best, what is the best picture, what is the best original screenplay, best actor. It's hard for me to believe in that because it's so subjective. And I'm this way with any award shows. I mean, if you look at the Game Awards and things like that, I think it's great that those things exist for the people. And I understand why they exist. It's something for a studio to hang their hat on. It's something for a director to say, hey, people actually like this movie. It's nice for them to get recognition and people to like it. But to me, it doesn't seem that genuine. It just seems it's just it's another Hollywood thing. And it's another 4-hour circle jerk for Hollywood. And if I were in it, I would definitely feel a different way. If I were 100% involved in it, absolutely my mind would be different. But that to me is why I think award shows just aren't that important, and they shouldn't be held in such regard. It's just a sticker on a box. That's really all it is. It's a chance to say, oh, well, Green Book won. Viggo Mortensen got Best Actor for Green Book, so they're going to slap that sticker on there. It's really all that is. You see it in trailers all the time. You see it on Blu-ray boxes all the time where it says Academy Award nominee, Academy Award winner. And I'm not taking away from those people's work. I think a lot of the time, movies that are nominated definitely deserve it. And I think it has its purpose in a way. It definitely has its purpose to say, hey, you did a good job. It is that nice recognition. But does it really matter? I mean, say Quentin Tarantino, he wins for Best Picture one year, or he wins for Best Screenplay. Does it really matter? He's still going to make movies. We like to put this idea that these Academy Awards and Oscars are a big deal and they're important, but yet in Hollywood, that's not what matters. What matters in Hollywood is if you make money at the box office. And it just irks me because movies that make a lot of money at the box office, some of them aren't going to be good movies, i.e. Venom that I mentioned before. Not a great movie, made a ton of money, made a lot more money than I think Sony anticipated, but that's not going to get any awards. That makes sense. But then you have a movie like Avengers Infinity War that just absolutely crushed the box office, and I think is a very good movie, and manages to juggle a lot of balls that are in the air, and it manages to be engaging. It manages to have a wide spectrum of emotions. You're laughing, you're crying, you're caring about these characters. Now, I understand that movie can't stand on its own. I understand that movie needs every other Marvel movie in it. It needs that crux. But you know that movie's never going to win a Best Picture. You know that's never going to win a Best Adapted Screenplay. And I don't know how they would manage to do, Best Actor or Best Actress and actress. Good Lord, Best Actress in that movie, because there's so many different characters, and I don't even quite know who the main character. Maybe the only main character in that movie is Thanos, but that's about it. So there's that movie, and there's those ideas, and you know that certain genres won't get respect. This year is an exception, I think. There's been exceptions in the past where there have been comedies, and I think Vice is a movie that's a comedy before anything else, and that's in the running for Best Picture. I honestly think that, to me, that was one of the best movies I've seen all year. I loved Vice. So there are some exceptions to that, but a lot of the time you don't see comedies. You're not going to see superhero movies until this year, and I will address that. But to me, I get it's for the filmmakers. It's not for us, I guess, is the takeaway from this. But if I look at anything, I look at what happened with the Kevin Hart situation. And everybody knows by now what happened with Kevin Hart. Here's my take on it. I think he was a comedian doing a bit. Now, you can decide whether or not you think that bit was funny. But at the end of the day, that was, 8 years ago? And I don't think you're going to find many people that are the same people that they were 8 years ago. And, I mean, the fact that he had to go out and defend the bit and explain the joke, it bothers me with how we perceive comedy. And then all this hubbub about who's going to replace him, and now they're not going to have a host. Why? This is the issue with the awards. If you're going to have the awards, have your nominations, put it to a vote, not just the Academy. That's what I think what bothers me about the Academy Awards and the Oscars. I don't think there's enough fan input. I don't think there's enough audience input. Now, I get that's kind of the point of the Academy Awards, but who are these people? It's like this weird shadow group that nobody wants to, that nobody can talk about, that nobody can be a part of. It's like some weird cult. It's like some shit that decides what are the best movies of the year. And it's so weird how secretive and how shadowy they are. I wish that in this world they would be more transparent and how they put in a criteria for a movie. Because I guarantee you they don't have an exact answer because how subjective entertainment is. It's hard to say this movie stacks up better than this movie deserves an award over this movie, and it's really hard to make that distinction. So why not be a little bit more transparent and take other feedback, but don't take it too far? Because now more than ever, I think the Academy Awards and the Oscars are just trying to be relevant. They're just trying to please everybody. They pander to everybody. And a few years ago, we had the whole Oscars so white thing. I don't even care about it because I don't care about how, I understand that people of color would be upset. I totally get that they didn't feel represented in the Academy Awards. I understand how that can be upsetting to them. But it's just the Academy Awards. And this is kind of where they're coming from, is looking at a way that maybe they're not getting appreciated. But dude, just be happy that the movie came out. Just be happy that you got to experience that movie and enjoy that movie. You don't need a tiny little golden man to tell you whether or not a movie is good or not for you. You make that decision. You make that choice. You've got the movie made. People saw it. People enjoyed it. That should be enough. That's what my point of all of this is. We put too much power in that little golden man instead of giving the power back to the creator, giving the power back to the filmmaker and saying, people liked your movie. That should be enough. You don't need a trophy. You don't need an object of validation. You just need people seeing the movie and an audience saying, I like that movie. Maybe it's an idiot like me that has a podcast and goes on a show and talks about how much he loved your movie. That's all you should need. But no, we live in a materialistic world. We live in a world where we have to award everything. We have to put a title on it because you have to have that thing saying, I was the best movie that year. I was a better actor than such and such in what, this movie versus that movie. It's silly. And maybe that's the idea, to put a competitive edge to movies, to make them better, is maybe you drive competition and you drive things better. We don't need these things. We've just had them around for so long. I think, what is this? We got to be close to 100 years of the Oscars and the Academy Awards. Maybe it's just been around so long that we think we need it. I don't need a group, a shadowy corporation, or shadowy cult, I should say, telling me what makes a good movie or why this person is the best actor. I don't need that. I have my own perception. Now, my perception is probably going to be very wrong, and I get that because I like a lot of stupid, obscure shit. I understand that what I think makes a good movie is not what a critic thinks, or maybe even you listening to this podcast think, and that's okay. That's fine. That's the beauty of it. And that's the whole driving force of what I'm saying here. Art is so subjective that we don't need an objective system. We don't need trophies. We don't need the Academy Awards. I don't care about them. I know that it seems impossible for me to say that after I've been talking about them for 15 minutes, but it's just, I gotta drive home that point. And I can guarantee you, even without a host, I can guarantee you what's gonna happen. It's the same thing every year. You're going to have your winners. You're going to have your people make some funny speeches. There's going to be people that make political speeches. There's going to be a controversy. I don't think it's going to be to the level of La La Land and Moonlight. I don't think we'll have one of those again. But you're going to see that it's all the same every single year. It's going to be, who wore this dress? Who wore that? Who wore this tux? What do they look like? What was his speech? It's all the same cycle over and over and over again. So you don't need to watch it. If I'm the Academy, just announce the nominations and make like a YouTube video and put up who won, because nobody really cares about the show in and of itself. It is 4 hours, and it's meh. Do we need 4 hours of the same thing we see every single year? And I know what you're gonna say. If you don't like sports, you're gonna be like, yes, we get that with the Super Bowl. That is so not true. Super Bowl is different. I don't know. I don't want to attack anybody. If you like the Academy Awards, if you care about this stuff, that is totally fine. I am not against people that actually are into this stuff. That's good for you. I'm glad that you can find this. If this is your Super Bowl, good. If this is really what you care about, fine. I'm never ever going to criticize somebody for truly loving something and getting obsessed with it. But for me, I'm not interested in it, and I don't care. So good on you that like it. I just think maybe we should reconsider how we perceive these things. Maybe they're just trying to get your clicks. I don't know. Point is, I'm not a huge fan of the Oscars. Never have been, and I don't think I ever will be. And I know this is the Oscars episode, so I have to keep talking about it. The one thing that I do want to talk about is the addition of Black Panther as Best Picture. It's also the only movie to be nominated in the major category, but not any of the other ones: screenplay, director, best actor. None of those other categories, just Best Picture. Now, part of me, the guy that loves superheroes and comic books, wants to say this is awesome, this is good, finally this is happening. But the realist in me knows that this is not it's not based on merit here. This is a movie that while it is a very good movie, and I think it's in my top 5 best Marvel movies, best MCU movies, easily in my top 5. I think this is only in the Best Picture category to pander. And what I'm not trying to play identity politics here. I think a little bit of that is at play. But I'm not trying to say that the only reason that Black Panther was nominated because of its cultural significance, because it's a big budget black superhero movie, because those have existed in the past. And I'm not trying to say that it's a black director and the Oscars so white controversy. That I think that plays a factor into this. But I think as a whole, I think this is just the Academy reaching for relevance and reaching to bring in the typical superhero Marvel audience, fans, that will maybe tune into this in hopes that this movie will win Best Picture. It won't. I want everybody to understand that it will not win Best Picture. It is simply there to try and get people to watch the show. As great as Black Panther is, and I want to reiterate, I don't hate this movie. I think it's a great movie, and I think it does have a very significant cultural impact. It's so hard to ignore how big of an impact Black Panther had on society as a whole. I'm not discrediting that. I'm not trying to take anything away from that movie. I think the Academy is only putting this in here to say, hey man, look, we finally did it. We finally, air quotes, respect Marvel. We finally respect this genre. When they really don't. It's an easy way to get eyes on the show. I don't see Black Panther winning. And I don't necessarily agree that it should be in this category. And when, I've seen this online, and I agree with this comparison. If you're going to tell me Black Panther gets into the Best Picture category over The Dark Knight, you're crazy. Because overall, pound for pound, The Dark Knight is a better movie. And you can compare those movies. I know a lot of people would say, how can you compare them? Because this is Black Panther's first solo movie. Batman is a big character. I understand that. But they had Batman Begins before that. Christopher Nolan had proven that he can take on Batman. That's very true. But we have seen Black Panther in Captain America Civil War. Some say he was one of the best parts about that movie. He was. Ryan Coogler has made a great Rocky movie with Creed. So he's and he had a movie before that. I can't think of it right now. But he had a movie before that, and he's done great work. Ryan Coogler is a very talented director. Chadwick Boseman, Michael B. Jordan, talented. All of them are talented. I can't pronounce the woman's name, the one with the bald hair, the warrior. She's a Michonne. Somebody correct me and tell me her name. She was great in that movie. All over, the cast in that movie was great, but that is not the same as what Christopher Nolan was doing with The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight was not only pushing the movie forward and making a very good superhero movie, it's a very good crime movie. It's almost as if it has a little crime drama into it. It has a little, I'm not going to say Scorsese, because Scorsese style, but it's something that is unique. And you see other movies try and match like the gritty realism of it, but they can never stack up. So on that argument alone, I think The Dark Knight is a better superhero movie and would be better fit to be the best picture, if I cared about these things. Wink, wink. So it upsets me. It really does. And it doesn't upset me that Black Panther got nominated. It upsets me because it's another. They did this in 2009 with District 9, where that got nominated for Best Picture, and I knew there was no chance that movie was going to win Best Picture. And it just goes back to my argument that I think that the Dark Knight thing and the District 9 thing was probably where I was like, okay, so I know that this doesn't matter. Also, I felt like The Wrestler got snubbed in 2008, so I never saw Slumdog Billionaire. I don't care. I saw The Wrestler. I cried. It's a great movie. So maybe after this being slighted by The Dark Knight and The Wrestler and District 9 in 2009, although I do like The Hurt Locker, I think that deserved to win. I think I've just been slighted by the Academy, and that's when I started to think, well, you know what, Jake? Maybe this doesn't matter. So maybe I did lie a little bit. I have cared about them before. I said always, I never have, never will. I did a little bit. But now I definitely don't care anymore. Because I think it's a disservice to a really good movie, a really great movie, like Black Panther. I think it's unfair to discredit that work by pandering to an audience that probably isn't going to watch it or probably isn't going to care anymore. Just a publicity stunt. But, again, I try not to talk about the Academy Awards, but it just worked. It was working with the other topic. I had to talk about Black Panther being nominated. So, I want to see the Academy. Show me the Academy. Get this shadow cult out here in the front and center. I want to see it. So I want to end this week's show having a little bit of a discussion with you about the controversy behind the MAGA kids and all the stuff that went down this past weekend. And I'm not going to touch on a lot. I think the last episode was politically charged because it'd been a long time since I kind of spoke to you in a way that I let out all my anger and frustrations with what's going on in politics. And I briefly want to talk about this in a way that I'm not going to offend anyone. I don't think, and I'm not going to attack anyone. I know much of you would like me to go on a rant and do the typical thing that I do, but I'm not in the mood to do that because quite frankly, I'm exhausted. I've been seeing this all over the news. I've been hearing about it by everybody, different sides. From Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity to Sam Cedar and Kyle Kalinske on the other side there. I've been hearing it from everybody, and here's what I perceive from it. I think, and I mean, there's a 2 hour tape of what happened. And I think what we need to do in an examination, and I'll be honest, I didn't watch all of the 2 hour thing. I skipped here and around. I think it's like an hour and 47 minutes. But from what I gathered from it, was yes, it was there's three groups of people in this situation. There's the Covington Catholic kids, the Native Americans, and the Black Israelis or Black Israelites, whatever they want to call themselves. So that is the story of what happened. The Black Israelites were there doing some sort of thing, claiming they're the real Jews or whatever they do. Those people are way out there. The Covington kids are obviously there for the March for Life stuff that happened last weekend, and the Native American people are there for a separate thing about the disappearances and the murder of Native Americans or whatever. I don't mean like whatever, but I mean whatever they were there for. So yeah, the Black Israelis it's the Black Israelites. They were upset about something and were getting in the face of the Covington kids. From what I saw, the Covington kids weren't super combative. Then the Native American people kind of stepped in the middle and intervened and got involved. And then the rest is history. That's where you start to see the ads, or not the ads, the viral video of the kid smirking and him playing the war drum. Before that, you see them they're chanting along. Looks like they're mocking him. And it does not help these kids that they're wearing Make America Great Again hats. It does not help that it looks like they're mocking the Native American. From my stance, it looks like they're mocking him. And this whole situation just looks like an absolute clusterfuck. And that's what it was. And I think that I agree with some of the assessments. We were so quick to jump to outrage. And we're so quick to be angry about something. That being said, there is something to be upset about. I think, to me, what I'm most upset about is that there was no intervention from what I saw from chaperones, from adults. There was no adults controlling these kids. They're teenagers. I was a teenage boy. I know how stupid teenagers can be and ridiculous they can be, but that's upsetting. But to me, what drives me the most insane was how we can just let one image and one moment in a much broader situation let us jump to anger and outrage, because that's just the place we are politically, and that's the place we are as a society. I think what I was thinking after all this happens, and you see this kid being applauded all over, conservative talk radio, TV, you're seeing this kid being applauded for his demeanor, for his fact that he didn't stand down, or he didn't, act in violence or do something stupid. You see him being applauded for this and make him almost out to be a martyr because he's wearing that Make America Great Again hat. This Native American's playing his drum in his face, whatever the case may be. I don't necessarily think this kid is this hero a lot of people make him out to be. And, he did the interview and he said, I had my right to stand my ground. Again, that's fine to say those things, but I don't think this kid is this political superstar hero that people are making him out to be. But I want to dial the clocks back here, and let's look at Parkland. Let's look at those kids. David Hogg. Everybody wants to point at him. Everybody wants to call him David Camera Hogg and has issues with him. But that kid had a legitimate purpose. I don't care if you agree with it or not. I'm sure a lot of people don't agree with what he was going with. I don't really care. I'm someone that supports the Second Amendment to an extent, but I also think that this is what I talk about with hypocrisy. To brush this kid off and say he's a 17-year-old kid, he doesn't know what he's talking about, he shouldn't be this political activist, he has no idea. But at the same time, months later, much farther down the road, you have a Catholic school kid wearing a MAGA hat who did nothing to make him seem like this political hero other than standing there. Maybe it's because he was at the March for Life thing, but he was going to a Catholic school. You don't think he wasn't there? It was a school trip. He wasn't there on his own accord. It was a school activity. But my point is, he didn't do anything to make him this political star, where David Hogg put himself out there to stand up for something because his friends were murdered in front of him. When people that you... Let me put this scenario for you. If you go into work tomorrow, and if you say, hey, this is a normal day of work, but you sit down and someone comes in and open fires and murders your coworkers, you don't think you're going to be upset and you don't think you're going to try and do something about it? I think if anything is what these past events have taught us with all of this is we need to look in the mirror and talk to ourselves. I'm kidding, not really, but we need to be kind of weird if we did that. We need to look in the mirror and understand where we are as a society and learn to accept the fact that, like it or not, everything that's going on is broken. We are fractured. And I think we need to stop jumping immediately to the outrage. And we need to stop immediately thinking we know the story before we have every part of the story. We have every piece of evidence. Because that is the only way. And if you are someone that's a Democrat and is angry by this and angry by all this stuff that happens, don't get blinded by your hatred. And, people probably think I'm right-wing because this is what conservatives use. But you know what? For once, some of these guys are making sense. You have to get evidence. You have to stop because this is what I've learned in the years that the last 4 or 5 years that I've really been engaging and paying attention to politics. There is a constant battle with both political parties, all politicians, every sort of politics you can imagine. There's always a constant struggle for the moral high ground. There's a constant battle for that. You cannot get caught up in that story and get caught up in that world, because when you do, you jump at the first chance you get to yell at these high school kids. When you do that, you start believing bullshit, unvetted, unproven BuzzFeed articles. And I'm sorry, if you think BuzzFeed News is a credible source after the PP tape, you got to get better at figuring out who's telling you the truth, because they don't vet their sources. They just publish things to get clicks. And yes, I think you got to stop letting your hatred for Trump. Look, I don't like Trump. I never will like Trump. That's something that I'm not ashamed to say. And I will tell you this. People are losing their minds over this guy. Accept the fact that he's there. I don't think he's getting impeached. I don't think anything's going to happen. Accept the fact that you got 2 more years left and go vote and make the change there. Because relying on somebody like BuzzFeed or relying on this Mueller investigation, which maybe they will find something, but at this point it doesn't look like they're going to find anything. Start beating him in the polls. Make those votes. If you really want to make that change, if you're really sick of this president, you have to vote, and you have to find somebody, you have to get behind them, and you got to do whatever you can to make sure they get elected. That's the only way it's going to happen. Pretending that we can get somewhere with BuzzFeed's PP tapes and the stories that they're getting that they're not vetting. If you think that claiming a moral high ground over these MAGA kids is going to work, it's not going to work. We've got to stop getting and get so outraged with each other. And I think the media especially needs to understand that when you do things like what you did with BuzzFeed and the MAGA kids, it only drives forth the narrative that Trump's base both truly believes that news is fake news unless it's Fox News. Instead of when the president just doesn't like the press, he says it's fake news. It's going to help drive that narrative. So you have to be better. You have to understand that you can't run with the clicks. You have money. And I know we're in a capitalistic society. I understand we have to make money. But you've got to be better. Because the only way this country is going to come back together is where we start to accept the fact that life doesn't care. And I hate what I hate that I quote Ben Shapiro on some things, but he is right when he says facts don't care about your feelings. He is right on that aspect. We just got to be better. We can't jump to outrage. I don't care who you vote for. I don't care who you like. As long as you do it the right way, that's all that matters. Thank you so much for listening to episode 22 of The Jake Williams Show right here on loudopinionated.com and wherever you get your podcasts. Like I said at the top of the show, please do me a favor and go like and subscribe and follow or whatever you do to our other shows on Loud and Opinionated. We're making a little nice podcast network on Loud and Opinionated. Go check out The Underachievers. That's a gaming podcast where I am with Chance Oliver and Just Sparks. He's like Madonna. He has one name. With Sparks, we talk about the latest news in gaming and whatever else we want to talk about related to video games. Also, there's going to be some Let's Plays and fun videos up on Underachievers Games on our YouTube channel there. And also go ahead and like Loud Sports, formerly the Loud and Opinionated Loud and Opinionated Football Podcast. That is too much to say. Loud Sports is just a lot easier. That is also right here on loudopinionated.com and Spotify and iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. They are there. So, yeah, just remember, we got to be better. Don't jump to outrage. If you want to write for loudopinionated.com, you can do so. I will not silence you, nor will Derek. We are just the gatekeepers of the site. We are not the naysayers of the website. You can send us an article to beloud@loudopinionated.com, whatever you want to talk about. Nothing is off limits. And most importantly, guys, be loud and be proud.